We are gathered here today to celebrate and remember Cute Warrior, which quietly and peacefully rotated into Hearthstone's wild format early Tuesday morning. Owing to solid construction, good genetics, an attentive care team, and a 4-set introduction, the deck lived to the ripe old age of 2 years, defining the meta several times, successfully retooling expansion after expansion. May we take a moment of silence. Cute Warrior gets its start in Festival of Legends thanks to a powerful enabling set. First and by far the most important is Roaring Applause, which draws a card and draws an additional card for each unique tribe you have on board. If we lean into this by packing a bunch of differently tribed, cheap minions in our deck, it turns out we can cycle through our deck much faster than our opponent with very few exceptions. Miracle-type decks that quickly draw through the entire deck are often hindered by the fact that you just spent all your mana on drawing cards and removing enemy minions, barely staying alive until you can unleash some sort of game-winning combo. What Roaring Applause allows you to do instead is draw through your deck by spending mana on playing minions, giving you a significant board presence at every point in the game, gradually or quickly overwhelming your opponent. Because we lean so hard into lots of small minions, we get draw not only from Roaring Applause, but Famished Fool and Maggie as well, especially since we only run 2 spells. Besides cheap tribal minions and draw fueled by a deck full of those cheap tribal minions, the initial deck list also includes payoff cards for playing both cheap minions and a lot of tribes. Rockmaster Voon makes it very easy to copy other powerful cards in the deck, the most desired target being 1 Amalgam Band, which is the deck's primary late game in nearly every single matchup. There are 8 total bonus effects, and a fully charged 1 Amalgam Band can clear 2 enemy minions, heal you through 12, establish a threat to deal 12 damage next turn, and be a solid taunt. Like the art implies, this guy does everything. To assist the copying is Zola the Gorgon, which, when copied by Voon, can be played on that Voon, allowing for an infinite value loop. Topping off the deck are a couple other good copy targets in School Teacher and Sylvanas. In Vicious Syndicate's first Cute Warrior deck list, they initially list Razorfin Rockstar as a quote-unquote flex card. Now, like Mistake, this is a mistake. At this point in Standard, there were only 5 Quillbore in the Discover pool, one of which was Razorfin Rockstar, and one of which was the Amalgam of the Deep. This meant that the 1 Amalgam Band, when you played Amalgam of the Deep on your Razorfin Rockstar, would always be an option. You start with 1 Amalgam Band and 2 Amalgam of the Deeps. You play both of your Amalgam of the Deeps on your Razorfin Rockstars, and now you have 3 1 Amalgam Bands. You play your Voon, you have 6 1 Amalgam Bands. You play your Zola on your Voon, and then you play your Voon and then your Zola on your Voon, and then you have infinite 1 Amalgam Bands. The 1 Amalgam Band can do everything, and when we have infinite amounts of the card that does everything, we're going to overpower pretty much every single deck that can't kill us from hand. We also aren't too worried about filling its requirement because we have 11 tribes in deck, and we're going to be playing a lot of minions before turn 7. With the release of Titans, Cute Warrior turns 1 expansion old. 4 months of dominance is still a baby as far as meta tyrants go, but most baby decks are dead as they are born, eaten up by larger, stronger, more unfair babies. So, to make it to the end of Festival of Legends and still be relevant is a significant achievement in itself. For that 1 expansion birthday, the Hearthstone developers gave Cute Warrior 2 whole cards. This is not a lot, but they are nonetheless extremely powerful. Ancient Totem functions similarly to Snow Flipper Penguin in the deck as a 0-mana tribal minion to enable your tribal payoffs. It massively speeds up the deck, sometimes allowing you to do stupid, powerful things. In this specific but surprisingly common scenario, turn 1 you play Coin, Party Animal, turn 2, Ancient Totem, Snow Flipper Penguin, Roaring Applause, 5/9 in stats, and 4 cards drawn on turn 2. Steam Guardian also fits well in the deck, tutoring our only spell that also happens to be the strongest card in the deck. Instead of 2 chances out of 30 to get Roaring Applause, you now have 4. Often the card draw is so strong, you will need to play duplicates or trade a minion to avoid discarding when you play Roaring Applause. Draw 4, draw 5, draw 6, all very feasible. Remember also that the cards that you're going to be drawing off of Roaring Applause are themselves extraordinarily cheap. say you have 2 mana left after drawing 4, drawing 5 with Roaring Applause. Say you draw into a party animal, you can play that party animal into an Ancient Totem, into a Snow Flipper Penguin. You had 1 more mana, say you had a 3/2 Frequency Oscillator into a 2/4 Mistake. Quick pan to your opponent as they're shocked that you just played 2 turns. The rapid speed increase to the draw of the deck left a couple cards in the dust, just ones that weren't quick enough. First among these is Sylvanas, which is still a powerful card in the deck. It's just you want your other payoffs, namely 1 Amalgam Band, a lot more than you want this. Famished Fool is kind of redundant in this deck. You already have 2 Steam Guardians, you already have 2 Roaring Applauses, and you have Maggie on top of that. You don't really need that extra guarantee of draw, and it will more than likely draw you into fatigue if you force yourself to play this after you've already played all of your other insane draw cards. School Teacher is still good, you just don't get as much value when you copy it compared to, say, of course, another 1 Amalgam Band. Steam Cleaner gets a consideration as a tech against Plague Death Knight, which is a particularly nasty matchup against the deck that wants to draw all of its card by turn 8 or 9, but Plague DK wasn't very good in Titans, so this wasn't necessary. Furnace is a strong tempo play with smaller mechs or a massive swing when played with your 1 Amalgam Band, but it isn't a unique tribe and the deck is already really strong at controlling the board. We just don't really need these super strong swings. We don't need to take out 6 huge minions at a time in the way that you would have to in later expansions. Holographic Construct would be fantastic if we didn't already have Click Clocker, a better mech beast, along with many other mechs and many other beasts. Drone Constructor is a great mech, it's just not quite as good as Frequency Oscillator, which gets our mistakes out quicker, it'll get our Amalgam of the Deeps out quicker, and it allows us to get a 1 Amalgam Band out on turn 6, which could make or break a matchup. The third and final set of this year is Showdown in the Badlands, which pushes this meta into a 6-set meta. 4-set metas are fresh, unique, a place to get started, a place to try out things that weren't exactly allowed by the previous meta tyrants, and 6-set metas are extreme. Warrior Showdown in the Badlands set was primarily focused on taunt synergies, the new Excavate keyword, and strong battle cries to be doubled by Deep Miner Bran, none of which seemed to fit into Cute Warrior's game plan. As it turns out though, 6-set metas are weird, and this deck is a nearly perfect candidate for Bran. It has plenty of super strong battle cries, and remember that Cute Warrior can almost draw through its entire deck by turn 7 or 8, with the duplicates out a turn or 2 before that. See how fast the duplicates disappear in this reconstruction, and for bonus points, see if you can tell when I played Roaring Applause. The deck gets a little slower due to the new late game mega package of Bran, Reno, Astalor, and Boomboss, not to mention all the 1 Amalgam Band shenanigans, but it's still quicker than all but the absolute fastest decks in the meta. We run Steam Cleaner in the ETC not to protect our Highlander cards from Plague duplicates, but from Plague damage. We intend to draw our entire deck after all, and a Helya on an empty deck is a death sentence. It doesn't win the matchup outright, but it does give you enough time to stabilize your life with a couple copies of 1 Amalgam Band. We have a couple good battle cries already in Amalgam of the Deep, Power Slider, Rockmaster Voon, and the 1 Amalgam Band, if you don't already have 8 tries by the time you play it. Fizzle, School Teacher, ETC, and Astalor all get brought in from prior expansions due to their extremely powerful battle cries, alongside the new card Boomboss, which deletes up to 18 of your opponent's cards. Fizzle becomes the copy effective choice in this deck due to his ability to also copy Reno, Boomboss, and Astalor, unlike Voon. Since ETC's battle cries are doubled as well, we can use him as an endgame in a box card to get both Astalor and Boomboss. This very quickly accelerates out of your opponent's control. Amalgam of the Deep, post Bran, makes 2 1 Amalgam Bands. Instead of aging properly, Astalor starts cloning himself, Boomboss makes 6 TNT instead of 3, and Fizzle accidentally takes his photo twice. This is an endgame that should not be accessible to a deck with an early game as aggressive as Cute Warriors. These doubled battle cries multiply off of each other too. From a single Amalgam of the Deep, you will get 2 1 Amalgam Bands. If you play Voon, he will trigger twice and turn those 2 into 8. This is nearly endless copies of 7 mana, destroy 2 minions of your choosing, heal for 12, leave a 6/1, or threaten lethal if there's nothing to take care of. You can poke your opponent's eyes out with a single Astalor, duplicating into 4 stage 3 Astalors, each of them dealing 28 damage for a total of 112 split amongst all enemies. Your deck will be mostly or completely empty when you play Boom Boss, allowing you to shred your opponent's deck, hand, and board the very next turn, most often winning the game on the spot. Because we only run 2 spells, we are able to do a lot of deck manipulation. Dryscale Deputy and Steam Guardian, both bubbled by Bran of course, interact with Roaring Applause, Fizzle Snapshot, and Boom Boss's TNT, and you can pick and choose what's copied and what's tutored depending on what you need to win your specific matchup. Oh yeah, you also have the strongest board clear in the history of the entire game. It turns out that you usually draw through your deck fast enough to stabilize with a 1 Amalgam Band on turn 7 or Reno on turn 8, so the loss of speed and early power is more than worth it for the upsides of the Highlander cards. To make room, we drop 2 Penguins, mostly because they share a tribe with Party Animal and Party Animal's Insane, as well as an Oscillator from our early game. This leads us to drop the Hawkstriders in favor of a stronger late-game battle cries. There's no need to try to milk a mid-game from this deck for turn-after-turn value when the insane late game is right there. We don't have an easy way to get weapons equipped while staying true to our cute menagerie game plan, so the new Out of Water Outlaw is out of the question for now, alongside Abyssal Bassist. Needle Rock Totem is draw and a rare tribe, but we'd much rather play Ancient Totem. One thing it can do though is immediately draw Boom Boss's TNT after playing it, but you might as well run the Viper at that point. Denathrius in a perfect scenario is fantastic in this deck, but it comes into play much later than our other game-saving and game-winning battle cries, and cannot be played for a tribe or any sort of synergy other than ending the game when drawn early enough. Rotation is weird. Your foundation falls out from under you and you are left throwing garbage at your opponent post-rotation, and they respond by throwing their own pile of garbage back. Fortunately for Cute Warrior, all of its strongest cards were in Festival of Legends, and those have 1 more year in them. Towncrier, coming into the new core set, is a great tutor for either our Power Sliders or It Who Shall Not Be Named from Whizbang's Workshop. N'Zoth's First Mate is an alright 1-mana pirate, which is enough to warrant 1 copy in the deck as well. The deck loses relatively little compared to some other decks, but it still hurts. Mistaken Click Clocker were 2 of the strongest 1-drops in the deck, and Amalgam of the Deep was practically Mr. Mrs. 2-mana 2/3, add 1 or 2 1 Amalgam Bands to your hand. Despite not being in the Badlands build, Hawkstrider Rancher leaving affects a few faster lists in upcoming expansions. Bran needs to find new battle cries to juice, as Schoolteacher and Astalor are also out. Fortunately, Whizbang's Workshop gives Bran those battle cries. Inventor Boom is a powerful new addition alongside Unkilliax, the unhealthy relationship of the Virus and Perfect modules of customizable card Ziliax Deluxe 3000. Unkilliax, dubbed as such because it diabolically takes 4 hits to get through, is a more defensive version of a fully charged 1 Amalgam Band and serves as a second fantastic copy target. It doesn't need to be charged up either, allowing it to get cheated out early by the new card Chemical Spill, which slots nicely into our ETC band. The Penguin comes back to bring back a little speed to the deck after losing 2 of the strongest 1-drops, but the deck still slows down overall. It is certainly a little more feast or famine because of that, but the famines are not too bad and the feasts are ethically unfair, locking out the opponent from playing the game due to Boom Boss, Unkilliax, and Reno spam. Once Bran is activated, you can immediately run away with the game, especially if you've already had an Unkilliax die. Inventor Boom post-Bran becomes 8 mana, deal 16 to 20 damage split amongst all enemies, heal for 8 to 16, establish an impenetrable, untargetable wall, make the opponent concede. Simple deck life is good. Besides all the cards lost in rotation, we make 1 cut, which is a single Razorfen Rockstar. We do this because we don't have Amalgam of the Deep anymore and no longer need immediate, often access to a rare tribe. We still run one of it because it's a 1 mana 1/3 that's a rare tribe, but other than that, we don't really need it. In the Not Quite section, we have Stormwind Champliax and Gift-Wrapped Whelp. Stormwind Champliax is extremely powerful and could most certainly slot into this deck in current form in place of Unkiliax and perform almost as well. The Unkiliax wall, however, is the most efficient stabilization tool we have, a little less consistent than Reno, but putting out significant amounts of damage and stats, giving your hero near immunity in the process. As for Gift-Wrapped Whelp, we just don't have enough dragons in the deck to run it, and a 1 mana tribal 2/1 is not worth it. It's the Nerf Hammer. Alongside more traditional Reno warrior lists, the high-end warrior package was deemed too powerful when paired with strong card draw and active board presence. Both Highlander cards become completely unplayable in the deck, regardless of their nerfs due to the start of game condition. This is a high synergy deck, and we need our duplicates. Despite getting reworked, Reno is still good enough to see play, but sadly for another deck. Ziliax gets slashed a few times and doesn't really seem to notice. Boomboss's TNT goes into the opponent's deck instead, which, when playing Cute Warrior, usually has 10 more cards than in your deck when you play Boomboss, rendering him pretty much completely unplayable. Inventor Boom gets changed to not be able to summon multiple Unkiliaxes, although it doesn't really matter because you can't run Bran anymore. The deck got nuked, but as they say, every mushroom cloud has a strontium lining, and our strontium lining happens to be a buff to Boom Wrench. Previously unplayable garbage, now a potent enabler for cards we've wanted to fit in for a while. From the Vicious Syndicate report following the nerfs, Cute Warrior has lost a significant part of its late game package in the reworks of both Reno Lone Ranger and Deep Home Bran. The deck has responded by moving to a faster weapon-centric package featuring Testing Dummy, Boom Wrench, and Effigy of Ragnaros. It's recommended to only run 1 copy of Effigy, as it is invalidated by smaller, wider boards. Despite many popular builds ignoring both Abyssal Basis and N'Zoth's First Mate, our early data suggests that they should both make the cut. So we finally have an excuse to run Boom Wrench. It can deal a lot of damage with Effigy of Rag and Testing Dummy, but there is also a general assemblage of cards that also really wants us to run a lot of cheap weapons, and this is 2 cheap weapons in 1 card. With N'Zoth's First Mate coming in from rotation and helping us discount our basists, we only have to sacrifice 2 slots for non-tribal minions, and the rest fit in well. Out of Water Outlaw from Badlands is an alright tutor for Basis, Dummy, or Unkiliax at worst, and a sizable stat boost that can get further copied by Voon or Zola. The endgame with this deck is a lot more manageable than the Reno versions. Reduce the cost of your bases to 0 and get one of them in an infinite loop with Voon and Zola alongside whatever other powerful tribal minion of your choosing. Better yet is hitting a basist off of one of your outlaws and getting it in the loop, but Testing Dummy and Unkiliax are some pretty good cards to miss on. Ziliax stays despite all the nerfs and is still a crazy good copy target, especially if tutored by Outlaw. Like the Vicious Syndicate report says, our Effigy is only really worth having 1 copy of, since we get through our deck fast enough to find it when we need it. We also don't want it to be a dud off of our Outlaws, so it slots into the ETC. In other news, Zola leaves ETC's ban to pursue a solo career. The copy cycle with Bassist and Voon is insane, with a free 4/7 lifesteal taunt per turn or 8/14 if doubled with Out of Water Outlaw. The brand nerf made it so that Warrior couldn't print value for free exponentially, so it retooled so that it could still print value for free, just a little bit less value. There's less inevitability of Bran and Boomboss, but the deck gains good burst potential against most decks and retains strong wall abilities against decks that can armor up a bit more. The deck moves a little bit closer to the mid-range. We cut 2 copies of Snowflipper Penguin because we just need to make room for the others, and Party Animal, again, is already a beast. We cut Towncrier because we don't necessarily want to draw Unkiliax early to cheat it out with a chemical spill. We instead want to keep it in our deck to pull it off of Outlaw. Fizzle and Dry Skull get cut because we're not running Boomboss anymore. We don't really have a reason to run the spell build, and as such we also cut 1 copy of Steam Guardian. Also a cut are Brand, Boom Boss, Boom, and Reno Lone Ranger, obviously. The only cards that were not quite up to par for this build, but that weren't also in the prior build, were Gift-Wrapped Whelp and Stormwind Champliax, but we already mentioned that. Plus, they get a feature in Perils in Paradise! Woohoo! Woohoo! Now, the Perils in Paradise set is insane. Appetizer is an insane enabler for Cute Warrior. 1 mana tribe that draws you a tribe you don't currently have, letting you tutor out specific cards. There's no reason not to run this in every single Cute Warrior deck until it rotates. Adaptive Amalgam is incredible for the speed of the deck, acting as every tribe over and over. 2 copies of this, along with Cheese Lord, give us enough reason to run Gift-Wrapped Whelp, the super strong 1-drop we weren't able to fit in during the Whiz-Bangs meta. Crockpot Commander is a good jack-of-all-trades, giving a tribe a buff to other minions, a body, and a mech death rattle in case you want to run Boom Wrench. Cheese Lord is a very strong card with a rare tribe that costs 3 mana. It is for this reason that we include it in our Cute Warrior deck. Incendious is a great minion to copy. It gives you a lot of inevitability against decks that can't keep up constant pressure, and AoE against those that can. One thing though. Adaptive Amalgam technically counts as a mech for Boom Wrench, getting itself shuffled back into deck for no good reason. This puts it at odds with the weapon package, and while you could play around it in-game, it's still a rather large obstacle to introduce into your own game plan. These two are incompatible, but the synergies are still there for both cards, so there are 2 competing builds. The first around Boom Wrench, Effigy, Crockpot, and the rest of the weapon package, and the second, much faster build, including all things small. Crockpot Commander is a great addition to the weapon version of the deck, helping us deal with smaller boards to clear the way for the cheaper Effigy of Ragnaros. This version runs much faster than the previous one, and how could it not with how efficient Appetizer is? Because of the board control from Crockpot Commander, we don't really have as much of a need for Testing Dummy. We also drop Out of Water Outlaw as well as Unkiliax and hard run a copy of Effigy. The other build is the quickest one yet. We have 11 1-drops, 3 raid leaders that can all be made cheaper by Frequency Oscillator, and consistent cheap targeted draw in Appetizer. This speed works perfectly with Incendious, as you'll draw your eruptions much faster with a smaller deck. While past builds have stuck with Unkiliax, Stormwind Champliax has always been a pretty close second. No deck floods the board better than Cute Warrior, and no card likes board flooding more than Stormwind Champliax. This build is particularly floody, so we switched Zaliaxes. In this clip, we apply really strong early pressure, in large part due to Gift-Wrapped Whelp and Adaptive Amalgam, and we have so many different options to finish with. Incendious would have been a great suffocating play had the opponent provided any actual resistance, but they did not, so we got to be a little flashier. In addition to all the cards we cut from the weapon version, we also have a couple of not-quites. Dreamplanner Zephrys is a very flexible card. It's a little slower than our current game plan, but it could very much replace a Steam Guardian if the meta got a little bit more unpredictable. Drink Server is great, but our deck already has much cheaper Murlocs and Pirates. Sandwiches the Footlong is too slow, too late. It's a lot of stats for 8 mana and super strong if copies are played in succession or on a big board, but nowhere near as strong if you had just played 2 copies of 1 Amalgam Band or Incendious. This deck puts down stats early and has strong effects late. This card is the opposite. All You Can Eat is a good card for slower decks willing to pay a price to tutor exact cards, but we are drawing all of our cards anyways. Paying 3 mana for a Steam Guardian and then 3 more for an All You Can Eat just to draw 3 1-drops is not a good idea. Much like the Titan set, we only get 2 cards from the Great Dark Beyond, but they are extraordinarily powerful. I did not like Braingill much when it came out. I thought that the Battlecry would trigger before Braingill enters the board, that it would give the Death Rattle to your other Murlocs. This is not the case. It applies to itself as well. It is almost as strong of a draw engine as Roaring Applause, exchanging 1 card draw for a 2-1 body. A card draw on its own is worth more than a 2-1, but bundling the body and the card draw together is a lot more valuable than it seems. Braingill also benefits from much of the same type of deck construction that Roaring Applause does, and there's a decent amount of multi-tribe Murlocs. 3 total amalgams, 2 Mermies, and 2 drink servers. Bringing in the drink servers and the Murloc Tidecallers brings our total number of Braingill targets to 13. This redundancy in tribes does not really dampen the Roaring Applause engine, because the Braingill engine also derives its draw from played minions. When a hand doesn't work for one of the engines, it most likely works for the other, so they end up covering each other's weaknesses to give the deck a crazy consistent hyper-speed level draw. Kil'jaeden is a perfect match for the fastest ever Cute Warrior draw engine, a card that rewards you for drawing through your deck and further rewards you for drawing past your deck? Insane. An endgame in a single minion if there ever was one. You can consistently play Kil'jaeden on turn 7 to success as long as you still have a little bit of draw when you play him. Demons usually suck, but Team 5's gracefully gifted Cute Warrior a fantastic demon set over the last few expansions, with a variety of keywords and abilities to help you seal the game. This deck has an incredible early and late game and can outperform matchups through one or the other depending on what's necessary in the matchup. Against a fast deck, you can play faster than them. Against a slow deck, you can play greedier than them. And if it's somewhere in between, you have so many flexible tools to let you do whatever you want. Here we draw through half our deck by turn 6 with a turn 4, 5-card Roaring Applause, and turn 5, 5 Murloc Braingill. We coin out Kil'jaeden on 6, and win the game with plenty of resources to spare. In this game we stay competitive with a Pirate Rogue, play a turn 6, 5 tribes, 1 amalgam band, and even though we didn't get lifesteal, it was enough of a swing to get control of the game. This poor little Death Knight was already getting hammered after we drew half our deck as a reward for absolutely flooding the board turn after turn, and we crush him with a turn 7 fully charged 1 amalgam band to get through both taunts for lethal. So weirdly, N'Zoth used to be a faster option over Drink Server that, because we already had a Murloc option in Appetizer, we could move our Pirate option from 2 to 1 mana. Braingill flips this, allowing us to get an extra draw out of Drink Server, so we can safely cut N'Zoth's first mate. We also cut the infinite loop of Voon and Zola, as strong as they are, because we don't need to get infinite value. We don't need to squeeze a 6-mana rock for water every single turn, because Kil'jaeden does it all for free. We also cut Incendious because when Kil'jaeden is played, all eruptions in our deck get destroyed, so we don't want to run Incendious. Also a very honorable not quite for the Ceaseless Expanse, which really depends on the meta, if anything. It comes super, super close. This deck draws super fast, plays a bunch of things, destroys a lot, reducing the Ceaseless Expanse very, very quickly. It's just not a tribe, and it is expensive. Depending on your meta, it might be worth playing. This is perhaps the strongest variation of Cute Warrior, which normally wouldn't be surprising given that it's a 6-set meta and power creep and all, but this deck had been nerfed directly or indirectly upwards of 6 times. It's also quite fitting that the strongest version is also the cutest, the fastest, the most perfect embodiment of a bunch of ragtag individuals making it work. The frogs and cogs, the animals with the instruments, unexplainably fighting alongside giant demons from a nefarious portal, all for a crowd that loves them more than anything. May Wild treat it well. Hey, okay, video over, but quick shout out to the Hearthstone dev team, the Goblins working at Vicious Syndicate, and then users, the Arcanist, Garden G16, Anomaly, and the great Alfini. Hope y'all enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you want to see my Control Priest Let's Play. Yeah, that's it.